Hey guys, my name is Dean and I'm so thankful to be able to share this content with you in this manner. Now bear in mind that this is my first video and I really do hope that I'll be able to add value not only to your journey but to your outlook as well. So, what's my objective? Well, my objective is very simple. My objective is to share 10 simple steps that I believe every single aspiring trader should pursue and refine and apply if they are truly serious about becoming consistently profitable in their journey to becoming a full-time trader. Now this applies to whether you are full-time or whether you are part-time. Essentially it doesn't really matter. What matters is that you understand that becoming consistently profitable has very little to do with how much you know about the markets, but has everything to do with how much you know about yourself. And that leads us straight into our first step. Our first step to becoming consistently profitable is to know your why. Ultimately, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, when things become complicated, when things get tough, then it's very easy to walk out because you don't ultimately have a reason to stay. You must understand that when it comes to trading, it's filled with so many different challenges. Challenges, for example, like money, challenges like support, challenges like the ability to keep your focus when you are constantly losing, challenges like questioning yourself in a time where you might be in a drawdown. There are so many challenges linked to trading that if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, then it's very easy to step away and not continue any further, and ultimately just spend your time finding something else that's going to give you the results that you are hoping to achieve by trading. Understand that if you don't know your why, then that's not going to lead you to pursue and persist on a journey that is filled with all types of challenges. You have to love what you do in order for you to do it regardless of the circumstances. And that is where step one comes in. It's knowing why you do what you do. Now this principle applies to almost anything in life, in fact, but we are focusing purely on trading. And so the way you find your why, one of the easiest ways to find the reasons why you do what you do is to make a list. Make a list of every possible thing that could result from you being successful in your pursuit of becoming a full-time or part-time trader. Ultimately, in your pursuit of becoming consistently profitable. What type of life does that give you, and why would you want that type of life? And use that as fuel, use that as motivation to push you through when things are tough. Because nothing that is worthwhile doing is going to be easy. Our next step is one of my favorite steps. It's learning how to win by learning how to lose. And it's a play on words, but what it ultimately means is that your most valuable lessons in trading comes from those trades that you've lost. And use that as an opportunity to actually extract whatever you can, whatever value you can extract from a losing trade, and find out what you could have done better, what you could have done differently. Ultimately, when it comes to learning how to win by learning how to lose, it's all about risk. It's all about risk management and being able to accept the outcome regardless if it's a profitable trade or a negative trade. You see, when you're able to accept the risk, then you are not anxious about the outcome simply because you've already accepted the worst case scenario. You must understand that when it comes to trading, you can control very few things. You cannot control the market. You cannot control how your strategy is going to work. You cannot even control the outcome of a position that you take. What you can control is the amount of risk you're going to have on that particular trade. How much money are you going to be risking on that particular trade? Yet if you look very carefully, that is most probably the most important thing that you need to control. If anything, that is the only thing that you need to control, because that is the one thing that's going to allow you to find consistency. So understand that losses are inevitable, but being able to prepare for losses are the secret. And you prepare for losses by being able to accept the outcome regardless of what that might look like. Now, next to that is the risk threshold. And this is something I had with one of my students when we were discussing his past experiences when it came to trading, is that he was able to take a chunk load of money out of the market. But the reason he was able to do that is because he was risking a massive amount of money on that particular trade. And this started to make him see all the possibilities of his future. And in his mind, he reasoned that if he was to continue risking so much, he would be able to see seven figures within a matter of weeks, let alone a matter of months. Up until he came to realize that trading is a lot more complex than just placing a trade and risking a whole lot of money. Eventually, this led him to lose a substantial amount of money, including the profits that he has just made, and nearly wiping the entire account. He stopped trading for a couple of months, and that's where we started our sessions, and we started to discuss what is his experience and what is his outlook now on trading as it relates to that particular event. And so we went into this stage where we needed to find what is his risk threshold. What is the amount of money that he's able to risk and still be able to go to bed sleeping? What percentage of his account is he willing to put on the table and have a trade through running over into the next day, but still being able to sleep soundly at night? And that's one of the ways that you identify your risk threshold. Always ask yourself that if I'm about to lose this amount of money, am I going to be able to sleep tonight? Will I be able to sleep tonight? And if the answer is no, then you're ultimately risking too much. Also, a very good sign of when you are risking above your threshold is when you are anxious about the outcome, where you're not really fully acceptant of the fact that you've just risked that much money, because then you've ultimately risked more than you are capable of handling. And so the objective is to find that happy medium where what you are risking is in line with what you are capable of dealing with. What you are risking is in line with your risk threshold. Step number 3, define your edge. Now, when we talk about an edge in trading, usually it refers to a trading system or a trading strategy. Now, when it comes to defining your edge means a lot more than just defining your strategy or the outcome of your strategy. It means defining your state of mind. Being able to define and refine, to some degree, even change your outlook on trading as a whole. And when I say that, what I'm saying is that you need to learn that your success in trading is not dependent on the strategy that you use. Your success in trading is based on your ability to apply that strategy given that you have the correct mindset. You see, when it comes to trading particularly, every second person that has this magical trading system or this magical trading strategy, or even to some degree these automated trading systems, they claim that this is going to be your breakthrough. They claim that this is going to be the one thing that's going to push you forward. However, the problem that I have with this is the following. There are so many different trading strategies. There are so many different trading systems. There are systems upon systems, thousands upon thousands. And yet all of them promises that you're going to be able to extract a ton of money out of the market. And when you think about it, when you really sit down and you think about it, what you'll come and find is that those systems does in fact have an edge in the market. The downfall is the person that's using it, because the person that's using it doesn't always have the mindset needed to use it effectively. You see, I'm not saying the system is wrong. I'm saying that 9 times out of 10, the reason the system doesn't work is because it doesn't gel well with the individual. And 90% of the time, the reason it doesn't gel well with the individual is because the individual's mindset is not that of a trader's mindset. You see, there are 2 types of traders. You've got the typical trader, and then you have the consistently profitable trader. And the typical trader is the trader that is usually the one that is chasing money in a very short space of time. Whereas the consistent profitable trader finds himself or finds herself really tries and define and works on the mindset. You see, the typical trader is all about their strategy. The consistent trader is all about their mindset. And that's the difference. Now, step number 4 is know what race you're in. Now, when we talk about trading, there are 2 types of traders or 2 types of participants. The first is the sprinter. The sprinter is usually the typical trader. In fact, in all cases, is the typical trader. The trader that is all about taking a small amount of money, putting it in a specific account, and then blowing their account up to a point where it's most probably 3, 4, 5, maybe even 7 times the size of the initial investment. And so in order for them to get those ridiculous returns, they have to risk the entire account every single time. Now you see, the problem with this is that although you get a substantial amount of money in a very short space of time, you are crippling yourself to develop one quality that is definitely a massive component to your consistency, which is discipline. Because when you are trading like a sprinter, you have absolutely no risk management. You have absolutely no discipline. You do not have a defined edge. You are gambling every single time you're placing a trade because your objective is to make money. Your objective is not to make money consistently. You see, for the sprinter, every trade could be their last trade. But when it comes to the consistently profitable trader, he falls into a second race, or she falls into a second race, and the race that they run is the marathon. The marathon runner is the runner that is mindful that there are going to be challenges along the way. And because there are challenges along the way, they find themselves developing the ability to endure when those challenges come. For example, when they find themselves in a drawdown, because they have a very, very strict risk management model, they're able to ensure that when they are in a drawdown, it's not crippling their bottom line. When they are in a drawdown, it's not going to affect their annual P&L. Ultimately, they're mindful that there are elements and there are instances where you are not going to be as consistently profitable as you would usually be. But that's not a reflection on the strategy that they've used. That's not even a reflection on their mindset. It's just part and parcel of trading as a whole. And so because they are mindful of this, they prepare themselves for it. And so when it comes to knowing the race they're running, they choose to run in the marathon, because the marathon is where they can consistently find returns. Whereas in the sprint, they could find a massive trade being the winner, but the next day could lose everything they've made plus what they've put in. And that again is where things split in two. Because on the one hand, you have the sprinter focusing purely on the strategy, and on the other hand, you have the marathon runner focusing purely on the mindset. Step number 5, have rules. This is most probably one of the most important steps you can take on your journey to consistency. You see, a world without rules is an inconsistent world. A world with rules is a world that has consistent outcomes. Consistency and rules are very, very highly correlated. And no rules and inconsistency is also very, very highly correlated. In other words, you cannot expect to be consistent and you don't have any rules. This is the objective of step 5. It's to ensure that we emphasize the importance of rules and how rules really does lead you to consistency. Now, step number 6 is a bit of a long one. Step number 6 is avoid obvious traps. Traps such as the following. Trading signals. Now, bear in mind, I'm not saying that using trading signals is wrong, but if you truly want to be a consistently profitable trader, relying on a trading signal provider is not going to lead you to consistency, purely because of the fact that it is not your knowledge, it's not you developing the discipline needed, it's not you taking the position based on your understanding, it's you taking the position based on someone else's understanding. And also, it's also not a form of financial independence, because you are still very, very dependent on the signal provider. And so this is one of the obvious traps that I find many people falling in, and by falling into these traps, they believe that they're truly consistently profitable. You see, when it comes to consistency or becoming a consistently profitable trader, it goes beyond just making money on a regular basis. It has everything to do with your ability to develop the trader's mindset. And it's very difficult to develop a trader's mindset when you yourself are not the trader. You are simply just the person clicking buy or clicking sell. The next point that I would like to address, or the next trap that I would like to expose, if you can, is the high risk, high reward philosophy. Now, this ties very well in with the sprinter type trader. The high risk, high reward philosophy states that in order for you to make money, you have to risk big money. So in order for you to play with the big boys, you have to do what the big boys does. The problem with that philosophy is that what happens if your account size is not that of the big boys, if you could put it in inverted commas? What happens if you don't have that substantial amount of money to risk? So what happens is, in this instance, you take a small account and fair enough, you do build it up, but there's no risk management. There's absolutely no discipline applied to it. Even though you could use a stop loss, it doesn't mean that you've applied a discipline, because ultimately what it comes down to is that you're still risking way more than the account can handle. And based on that, if you truly want to be consistently profitable and have any desire to attract an investor at any point in time, you must understand that no investor is going to give you money because you can make ridiculous returns. The objective of every investor is to give you money and have an expected return in the end of the day with minimum risk. So if you cannot reduce the risk, then how is it possible that you can attract an investor that is willing to take a risk on you? You see, nobody's going to put $100,000 in your pocket and say, listen, manage this money for me, but you have absolutely no idea on how to manage risk. They're not going to give you that money because they're going to ask you for a statement. They're going to ask you for a track record. They're going to evaluate how you manage risks. They are mindful that it is a risk of putting money with you, but the risk is dramatically reduced when you know how to manage risk. When it comes to the high risk, high reward philosophy, it's not a sustainable philosophy when it comes to trading. Perhaps in other spheres of life that principle could be applied, but when it comes to trading, the high risk, high reward philosophy is going to be the detriment of your journey to consistency. Now, the objective of every trader is to have low risk, high reward. Now, that's the trader's philosophy. When you can have reduced risk but have a high reward or high return as a result of you being able to identify a key market opportunity and take that position with reducing the risk to such a point where your profit far outweighs the risk that you're taking. Another obvious trap that is attached to step number 6 is rules are meant to be broken, or the rules that meant to be broken mindset. We just discussed the importance of rules, and traders that lives according to this model, they never find themselves consistently profitable. They're always switching, they're always changing, they're always jumping from one trading strategy to another. The reason being is because that is an inconsistent practice, and the reason that practice is so inconsistent is because there's no rules to govern the intention of consistency. There's no rules to facilitate consistency. And so a trader that tells you rules are meant to be broken is a trader that if you were to ask them for their performance sheet, I can almost guarantee you that it's far from consistent, because they approach trading with the mindset that rules are meant to be broken. Another trap that is related to trading is competition. The temptation to compete. There's a very famous saying that you should run your own race. Understand something, that there are some traders that are just superior, not only in their knowledge about the markets, but also in their knowledge about themselves. They are also mindful that it takes time to develop these skills, and as a result of that, they develop an edge as time goes on. But the moment you start competing with someone, that is when the rule book flies out the window. That is when every principle that you've worked so hard to apply flies out the window. That is when your entire development becomes irrelevant, because your focus is now to compete. You want to be better than the next person. Don't trade this way. Understand, you are running your own race, because ultimately, if you win this competition, what have you really won? How much further have you actually gone? And what have you actually proven? This is your journey. This is your process. And to compete with anyone else is doing a disservice to you. So if you really want to find consistency, walk with that in mind, that you are running your own race and that there's no need to compete with anybody else. Step number 7. Step number 7 is also quite important, but it has very little to do with trading, yet it influences your trading on a drastic scale. And step number 7 is live a consistent life. Now, the reason I find this to be a step is because my mentor always tells me that you cannot expect to be consistent in trading and you are not consistent in your everyday life. So with that being said, guys, try and create a regime, try and create a routine, not only around your trading but also around every other aspect of your life. Because you see, when there's a routine implemented, there's order, and when there is order, there is rules. Where there is rules, there's discipline. Where there's discipline, it will ultimately lead you to consistency. So when you live a consistent life, it does filter into your ability to become a consistent trader. Step number 8, backtest your trading strategy. Backtest your trading strategy, but always refine the trader's mindset. Always refine the trader's mindset. And what this means is that backtesting your strategy allows you to see the win to loss ratio of your particular style of trading. Backtesting also allows you to become confident in your ability to identify market signals that suggests that this is the right time to get in or get out of a position. So backtesting is a massive contributor to your ability to kind of fine-tune your trading strategy. But where your edge really lies is in your ability to constantly refine your mindset. And that is step number 8. Step number 9. Think of every position you take as independent from the position you've just taken. Understand that when it comes to trading, your positions doesn't have any correlation to one another. If you've won one position, it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to win the next one. And if you've lost one position, it doesn't mean that you're going to lose the next one. There's been instances and there's been times when I've taken a position and I've lost 3 times in a row, but the setup was still valid. Now bear in mind that the reason I can confirm the setup was still valid was because obviously I backtested my strategy. So with the setup still being valid, I get another market signal and I'm able to get back into the position. It will only be the 4th attempt at taking the position that ultimately allowed me to run that trade as per the analysis. Now I'm sure for most of you that has been the case, and even for some of you, you may find yourself taking 2 losses in a row, and the 3rd time you are just about to take the trade and then you decided to opt out of it purely because of the fact that you've just lost twice. This leads the market to actually run in your direction with such force that if you had measured from the time you've taken the position till the end of the overall run, you could have not only made back what you've lost in those 2 trades, but you could also make 5 times more, for example. So this is why you need to apply step number 9 in your rules as well, is to essentially look at each trade as independent from the trade that you've just taken. Step number 10, the final step, is to view your returns in percentage and not in money. The moment you attach a monetary figure to any position, that is when you start to become anxious. You see, if you were to have an account of $1,000, 1% of $1,000 is $10. If you were to trade with an account that is $10,000, 1% of that account is 100. Now the question that you're going to have to ask yourself is, which one would you prefer risking? If you chose the $10, you can sleep knowing that you're only going to lose $10, but you can't sleep knowing that you're going to lose $100, then that is the very reason we're implementing this step. Because regardless of how much money you're going to be risking, it's still just 1% of the account value. Now, if you look at it from this perspective, you can actually see that in order for you to wipe your entire account, you would have to lose 100 trades. If you were to risk 1% per trade, you would have to lose 100 trades in a row in order for you to lose everything. Now, bear in mind, you would have to lose 100 trades in a row on a system that you've backtested, on a discipline that you've refined, on a mindset that you're constantly working on a market that you actually have an edge in because there's a level of understanding that you take every position with. You have to lose 100 trades in a row with all of those components at your disposal. It's close to impossible. It's just like saying that you could win 100 trades in a row. What I'm trying to share with you guys is a very basic 10-step principle that will lead you to consistency, that if you apply these principles in your trading, I promise you, you will see a positive result. I promise you that you will find growth in your journey. I promise that when applied, you will truly begin to see how you develop, not only as a trader, but how your account reflects the lessons that you've learned as you apply these 10 steps to consistency. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I really hope that you were able to extract a ton of value from the topic that we've discussed in our 10 steps to consistency. WealthTip is all about trading, and we're all about educating not only our students but our viewers as well and our subscribers on how to become successfully profitable as it relates to trading, beyond the point of monetary returns, but also in the development of the trader's mindset. And obviously we encourage you to become part of our community as we are all about paying it forward. So with all that being said, guys, I just wanted to share that we are launching, or we're in the process of getting our Gen series launched, and we are prepping ourselves to create a webinar. And if you guys are interested in joining, please let me know with a thumbs up, just pop me a message in the comment section below. I would love to have you guys in the webinar. It will be a live webinar. I will be giving the dates and the specifics as we get closer to the date. As of now, we're still in the process of getting all the content together and just working on the structure as to how we're going to go about delivering that. And if you want to join us, please just pop a message below. I'll be more than happy to send you guys a personal link, a personal thank you message. And obviously you will be more than welcome to join us on the webinar. With that all being said, like I said, we're also doing our Gen series. We're in the process of launching it, and the webinar will explain what Gen series is all about and what you guys will be getting if you're interested in kind of having a look at what Gen series is. For the most part, guys, like I said, I will leave our website details in the description box below. Check out our website. Gen series is on there. We upload new content on that particular platform every week. And as it stands, I mean, we're just in the process of getting the ball rolling. So this particular video is just a means of starting the campaign for launching our Gen series. So I really hope that you guys were able to extract some value. There's more on its way, so I really appreciate you taking the time to watch us. Furthermore, if you haven't subscribed, considering hitting that subscribe button. If you find that the content that we shared was valuable and that you know of someone that could benefit from it, consider sharing it with them. And if you liked it all around, just feel free to leave us a thumbs up. For the most part, guys, I want to say thank you. I want to say that you should have an awesome week further. Have a profitable week further as well. And I look forward to chatting to you all soon. Up until then, cheers and bye for now.